over the years I've seen many videos, mainly on TikTok, and they'll say things like impress your friends, and they'll show you how to do a little bit of piano playing, and they'll say something like, you know, in your left hand just get C and G going, and then with any finger play any white note, and problem I've got with these videos is the fact that they never actually explain beyond that. Really, they're just showing you a party trick so that if there's a piano there, you can sort of go, here we go, let's play around. But ultimately, if you want to sort of understand why that sounds so good, you're not going to. But I'm going to tell you why that sounds so good. And it's because it all falls within the key of C major. Now, this is something that we do to death, you know, 99.9% of piano beginners books, whether you be a child, a teenager, an adult, you know, they all tend to start with learning C major and middle C and you know, something, and that's fine. But really the importance really can't be denied of it, because it's a major tool for helping you to develop and play by your musical ear, but also for your improvisation technique, should you wish to go down that road. Now, that's not to say that you can't, under any circumstances, play any black notes in the key of C major, but it's just that traditionally, classically, if you like, they're the notes, you know, of the scale, and anything that you play within those notes are going to sound great if you play them with C and G. Reason for that is because C and G is an interval. C to G is an interval. It's called a perfect fifth. You're not creating any clashes with it. You know, there's enough distance there that it's going to sound nice all the time. No note here is going to clash with C and G. Whereas it might do if you did another couple of notes. For example, if you did that, you might start to get it a bit... it would sound a bit less complete. You could probably get away with octaves, so C to C, but obviously not everybody's hand can quite reach that, and if you're just learning it for a party trick, they're not going to teach you that. But yes, you could definitely do octaves if you can reach it. But the point is, if you stick to that C major scale, then you're going to get it really good, because it's going to sound fantastic. So that's the first step of improvisation, to figure out what key you're in and to stick with that scale. So that's why scales are very important, because you know, partly because if you get a new piece of music and it's in a different key signature to C, you'll be able to sort of maybe play through the scale and sort of get yourself in the mindset of what sharps, what flats you need. But also, if you just want to play around on the piano, you can use those exact same principles for any scale that you know. So G flat, F sharp, G flat major is it uses all black notes, but it also uses the note B. So this is in F sharp, so that's B, and it also uses an E sharp, which as far as we're concerned, just for the sake of improvisation, it's harmonically an F, but we'd call it an E sharp in that key signature. So we know what notes we're going to play, but we could use exactly the same philosophy, if you like. I'm just doing that same perfect fifth in my left hand, except now it's F sharp to C sharp. So that's your first step really to improvisation. Now the second step to improvisation, if you want to start to pick up the pace a little bit, is to start to recognise the importance, or not necessarily the importance, but the advantages of stepwise melodies. And this is where playing your scales can really come into effect here, because what you can do is you can start to really rapid them up a little bit. So whoa, I deviated my own roll. that's the next step. You know, you start playing around with making it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more rapid. And the third step, I guess, is to start to figure out, if you're just playing on your own, is start to figure out where you want to go from here. So I've got a little playlist on here which is called, I think it's how to develop your musical ear, develop your musical ear, and it starts to talk you through, you know, starting to find chords 1, 4, and 5, and then it'll bring in the relative minor. And what that will do is it will give you a bit of scope to be able to use the same scale, but to start to change what's going on in the left hand, because you know 1, 4, and 5 and the relative minor is always going to sound good with these notes of the scale. So that's the next step. So get used to your chord structure, and then what you can start to do is to actually experiment, not go straight onto the improvisation aspect, but experiment with how different things sound. Just generally, how do different intervals sound? Well, what is a typical 7th chord, for example? A typical 7th chord, we're still in the key of F sharp, would be doing that for F sharp. So we know that is a very odd interval, you know, something used in jazz. So we might be playing very nicely, but we might just want to make a little bit of a deviation. And what you'll have noticed is I've changed my left hand as well. You know, I'm still sticking with the perfect fifth, but I'm octaving, putting the octave in at the top, and then just, so it's effectively F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, C sharp. You get the idea of what I'm doing. So, you know, just play around, basically. Be inquisitive with the piano, because as much as it's great to sit there and to learn a piece of music and to learn how music works academically and read it from a book and practice your theory and everything, and definitely do all that, right? But one of the most strongest tools for learning piano and learning music and how it all works is experimentation, because then it all comes together.